Hello, hi everyone. I'm Muruja Sadi, and welcome to MENA's Women Entrepreneurs Discussion Session today. Um, I'm a program manager at Google for Startups Accelerator team. What we do is we provide support for our startups in the Middle East and North Africa. Today we have a panel discussion with 4 different entrepreneurs from our cohort, class 2, and they're going to talk about and share with us their experience and views about women leadership within the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we'll start with giving them an opportunity to introduce themselves. And if you want to go first, Yamama.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Muruj, and thank you for having us. اسمحوا لي أعرف عن موسوعة وعن نفسي باللغة العربية بما أنه عم نتحدث عن المينا ريجن. أنا يمامة جردات، شريك مؤسسة في شركة اسمها موسوعة ستنطلق قريبا، وموسوعة هي رح تكون أول منصة عربية تحفيزية تكافئ صناع المحتوى المعرفي الموثوق بنظام مكافآت وحوافز معنوي ومادي عبر العملة الرقمية وباستخدام تقنية البلوكتشين.
Thank you, Yamama, and we do look forward to hearing more about your views on the Arabic-speaking and
Thank you.
Ecosystem here.
Thank you.
May, would you like to go next?
Thank you, Noor. Hi everyone. خليني برضو أعرفكم عن نفسي وعن حقوقي بالعربي. أنا مي عبد الباري، مهندسة برمجيات. ابتديتنا فكرة حقوقي أنا وهالة وشركتنا الثالثة فاطمة، إحنا 3 بنات. فكرنا في حقوقي إنها هتبقى بلاتفورم تساعد الناس إنها تاخد أو تحصل على الخدمات القانونية بسهولة وبسرعة وبأمان، وده ما كانتش حاجة سهلة ولا متوفرة في أماكن كثيرة من العالم، مش بس العالم العربي. إحنا اللي بنحاول نعمله إن إحنا نساعد الناس إنها يعني لو عايزة تعمل خدمة قانونية تدور على شخص مناسب يبقى مسؤول عن تلبية خدماتها، فتقدر توصل له بمنتهى السهولة، توصل للخدمة وللشخص. يعني إحنا مش بنربط الخدمة بالشخص، يعني هو بتطلب الخدمة وبتاخد الخدمة عن طريق الشخص المناسب.
Thank you, May. Shukran. Legal aspect of entrepreneurship is quite important, and we do look forward to hearing more about what you think and how you're solving that challenge. Since we have another co-founder of Huquqi, Hala, would you like to go next?
Hi everyone, I'm Hala Riyad. Let's continue in Arabic since we started in Arabic. أنا محامية وإحنا بنعمل إيه؟ طبعاً مي شرحت حقوقي كويس قوي، أنا بس عايزة أزود حاجة. إحنا التو خدمتين اللي إحنا بنديها بنوفر دلوقتي للكلاينتس بتوعنا هو تسجيل العلامة التجارية وتسجيل الشركات. بس إحنا إحنا يعني متحمسين قوي بوجودنا. أنا عارفة إن هو الناس كلها بتقعد تقول لنا صعب المشاكل اللي ليها علاقه بالمحاماه، صعب ان الواحد يعمل ديجيتاليزيشن في العالم العربي، وخاصه ان احنا بنات، فالناس ساعات بتبص لنا بصه مختلفه ساعات، ودي اكيد حاجه انا متاكده ان هنتكلم فيها. بس لا يعني احنا we're excited, very excited ومتحمسين جدا نشوف المستقبل فيه ايه للريجن بتاعتنا والمحاماه.
Shukran, Hala. That's actually great. As you said, it is quite, let's say, very traditional side, the legal side, and we do look forward how you're trying to disrupt this market with your technology. Moving on to a more creative, let's say, side, Aida, if you want to introduce yourself and my Tindi.
Hello everyone, I'm going to go in English simply because I speak Moroccan Arabic. It's not the same, so you may not understand me. So I'm Aida, the co-founder of mytindi.com. We are a marketplace that aims at bridging the gap between vendors and selling online. So we are now based in Morocco. We have the craft sector in Morocco, so designer, craftsmen, artists in Morocco sell online, mostly outside of Morocco. And our vision is to expand beyond Morocco, of course, and become the marketplace for creatives in the whole MENA region. I'm very happy to be here today and to share with you this panel and discussion.
Oh, that's great. I actually love this panel because it's quite diverse in its culture, and I think that's something that we really need to get, let's say, in more detail or more depth in. Given that we are from different cultures, we're speaking different languages right now: English, Arabic, Moroccan, Egyptian, and Lebanese. We have very different, let's say, backgrounds. But if we came to look at that within our let's say businesses and within our day-to-day work life, how could you see this affecting, let's say, your growth as a startup, and having a diverse team with different personalities and different genders as well? Yamama, if you would want to share with us, given that you have a diverse team.
Yeah, sure. Definitely diversity brings a lot to the table. And as you said, we come from like different cultures and backgrounds. And even if we were like just females in the startup, like I work with my co-founders are all male, and that brings a lot to the table. And I believe that diversity brings different ideas, solutions, the way we think, the way we see things, like from different perspectives. And I think this is one of the great things in startups, that sometimes we need that diversity, because a lot of solutions, a lot of problems we face, leadership styles are different, management styles. Like I believe especially that females like look into things differently from male. Not good, not bad, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying that we do have different perspectives. And diversity as itself, like as you said, maybe even like if we are from the same country, but we do have different backgrounds and we have different standards and cultures, and this is for the best of the startup. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, how usually you would find this diversity or this mix of culture where females would look at things very differently than male. Aida, if you would want to join in and add on to that, how would you see this difference happening? If you could give us even any advantages that you've seen happening from having this diverse team.
Sure. I think that diversity, first of all, is super important, because I mean, it's pretty boring to be right all the time. So, you know, like if you're not confronted to other people, other mindsets and everything, like you just tend to think that like you're just a genius or whatever, but like actually you're just in your own head, and like you're just hanging out with the people that basically think like you. So I think it's so important to have a diverse team, just to have idea confronted, to be more confronted to failure too, I think. And one of the example I can remember was actually not as a founder, but I had a group work when I was in Canada, and we were 5 people from very diverse background. One was from the Netherlands, I was from Morocco, someone from Asia, one from Europe, like everywhere. And what was very interesting is that the way we tend to talk was very different from the other one, and it allowed us to basically, we needed to find a common ground to talk, because otherwise like no idea would be how do you say, like taken forward, because there were so many ways of doing things that were very different. And I think that's one of the advantage also, that can also be an inconvenient if you don't take it seriously, is that a diverse team makes you more adaptable, but you have to make sure that everything is put like that everyone is heard, and that all the ideas are taken into consideration. Because I'm taking my example, but I tend to speak a bit more loudly than, for example, someone from the Netherlands, and sometimes like it can just like be lost in translation. So it's a very good thing, but I think we should also be mindful of like taking into consideration all the differences when talking with people.
That's actually interesting, looking into communication when it comes to this diverse team. So Hala, and what would you say any of your experiences, even if it were with stakeholders, given that you were within, let's say, a very in a traditional sector, or some would say a boring sector. I wouldn't really, but the legal part of that, the industry itself, is quite let's say stiff when it comes to that. So how did you experience this within your career?
I think for me, I completely agree with your mama that often females see things differently than males, and that diversity is very important. But I would also, I think it could be a mistake to maybe issue this generalization between males and females and assume that this diversity is lessened by having two females or two males versus a male and a female in a founding team. I think for me and Mai, we're definitely very diverse. The way we see things is very diverse. Mai is very much super strategic. You know, she's thinking 10 steps ahead, and I'm, you know, running around trying to you know, hopefully not break things. And Maya has this expression that she says that I think is very funny. She says, I sometimes feel like if I let you be, you will run straight into a wall. So yes, she tries to, you know, have a window, you know, open a door and be like, oh, hey, actually there's a door. You don't need to break your head. So it's funny because we have these very different perspectives on it, and that we are able to have even when we are both female. So that would be my inclination. You know, I've worked with males my entire life, and I don't think I haven't really seen that much of a difference. What I can say is I feel like females are sometimes better at the whole human resources, you know, trying to be, you know, better at making sure that you know, the balance is okay and people are doing okay, versus, you know, males are maybe sometimes a bit more direct. But I'm actually very, very direct, probably more direct than most of them. So it's a bit of it's I think maybe having gender as one of the potential diverse categories could, in some cases, not show the reality of the situation, in my opinion.
Oh, wow, that's quite interesting, actually, those points that you raised. We at Google really look at diversity as a very huge thing when it comes to multicultural company, where you have people from different cultures, different backgrounds. An interesting point that Ida also discussed was communication. So it all goes down to how you communicate with these different backgrounds, given that personalities would differ within the same genders as well. May and Hala may have different personalities where they would look at things differently. And given what Yamama was saying about having a male let's say co-founder, and the views and how you would view things very differently, that's very interesting. It's usually the case when you look at some aspects from a different angle, that this diversity might come in. That's quite interesting, actually. It gets me to another point, that how can we, as, let's say, entrepreneurs, as yourselves as well, encourage more, let's say, girls, teens, younger college students who would explore and get into pursuing any entrepreneurship careers? How would you see that happening in that sense? If you want to give us a few of your points, May.
I think we can do this by providing them with success stories, with the role models, to provide them with what they can be. For our example, Hala and I, everyone wants to work with us. It was an advantage to be female-founded startup, because everyone looks at it. Okay, let's see what you can do. Yeah. So yeah, we have that chance, and it was an advantage. And I think it will be the best thing to show this for young females, or even everyone, mixed teens. Yeah. This is a success story. You can be one, or if, you can be something, yeah, or could do something like them.
Yeah,
To highlight the
that's
success, yeah, the success
yeah,
that
that's
we could.
actually, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's actually something that is quite important. I feel like giving them role models is something that would inspire them to look at these areas and start pursuing these careers. But not only that, but what are, let's say, if in points that we could give as examples of what we could show them to be able to see these advantages within the careers that they could pursue. Mama, would there be something that you would like to share there?
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I think females should start looking into business, entrepreneurship, and new industries early on. They should, like, I totally encourage like teenagers and students, even in schools. Like, definitely governments should start incorporating topics about entrepreneurship and business early on, and not wait till we go to university, because the sooner the better. And once we start like learning more about entrepreneurship and business, we will be more ready. I encourage them to read. I encourage them to take courses, and I see that there's a lot of potential. Google have this huge academy that they can go and learn free courses. They can go also to another platforms and they can learn. They need to start learning more about business and entrepreneurship. They should look for internships, apply for workshops, sessions. I encourage them to work harder on their communication skills. Like, they should be part of the ecosystem early on. And as May said, like, they should look into role models. And unfortunately, yes, we do. Sometimes it is an advantage that we are females in the startup, but at the same time, it's a disadvantage because statistics say that like only 2% of the overall funding ventures just go to females. So we need those females to join us early on and learn more early about entrepreneurship, business, about new industries. And especially the problem is with females that we are not an early adopters for new industries. So that's why we don't see a lot of people like May in the technical side, like me working in the technology. They say, oh, like females, they don't, what do you know about finance? What do you know about blockchain? What do you know about coding and so on? So I encourage them to start study more. Where is the market going, and what do we need for the next phase?
Those are actually very, very interesting points, Yamama. I like those the point that you raised on, let's say, 2% of the female founders getting funding. Is there anything we want to add there, Aida? What do you think would be the reason why VCs or investors would be looking at male, let's say, leading startups for funding rather than female leading startups? Being a female leading startup yourself.
That's a very huge question you're asking me. I can't tell, but from what I've read and what I've seen, I'm going to give you an example because that's the only way I can answer this question. Is in the US, so not even in the MENA region, one of the first female startups, I don't remember her name, unfortunately, nor the startup, but I remember that it was matchmaking between babysitters and nannies and women, right? Or parents looking for to get their children a nanny, because in the US, like, it was apparently very hard to find and everything. And she was making actually good numbers. And when she was in front of the VCs, they didn't estimate that it was a problem, because they are not the one taking care of the children, so they don't even understand the market. And this may be why some maybe female startup tackle more female problem and pitch them to male VCs who have never even encountered the problem, because it's not their target market. So maybe another solution would also be to have more women VCs, or I don't know, like, it may also be a solution. But that from what I see, it may be understanding, and it can be based on so many things, like that are way more complex. The way of communication, maybe, you know, like people, VCs tend to invest in people that are the same, and if it's a male and it's a female, we're already very different, you know, like, but it's a bias. It's not even something that is like VC will say maybe like, no, we're really like not looking to invest only in men, but it's just the way they like, if a male like a male in front of male talking about things, male versus female, like it may be different. I have no idea. I don't want to say anything, you know, like that I don't master, but like that's my understanding of it.
That's actually interesting. But don't you notice that within the region, within our region, let's say, I can say for Oman, an example, in GCC, there's a lot of push towards female founders, female entrepreneurs, bringing in more female leaders within the ecosystems. And I can say for myself that we have a wider number of females than we could ever thought would have. Even the VCs that are investing in Oman would have a higher rate of female founding or let's say female funded startups. Hala, is there anything that you wanted to add there when it comes to any support or let's say movements that we've had seeing for females?
I think it would be before, if I may, before getting into, you know, the movement and obviously great things like, for example, the Google Accelerator that we're in, there are quotas that were met, and we you know, it was very important for them to have females around, and that was great. But I think that it's important to mention that there's a reason why we need to be very careful and to be very stern about having these quotas and having females in general involved in entrepreneurship, and that is that it's much harder for a woman to arrive to a point, to a certain point, than it is to a man. So if you get two people, and it's almost like, if I may simplify it to the absolute, to the extreme, it's like saying, oh, this person, you know, was playing this game on hard, and this person was playing this game on easy. And there are other factors, you know, there's privilege, you know, did you come from a privileged background? It's gender is just one of those things. And I think that at the moment, yes, I will say it's, you know, it's impressive and it's great to watch, you know, people have quotas and accelerators and incubators and VCs that want women, you know, to be involved in their ventures. But there's a reason we need to have this highlighted, and the reason is that much fewer women even enter the funnel. The funnel breaks at some point. For many reasons. It could be how females are raised in general. You know, we're all raised to be careful and to, you know, they tell boys, you know, climb a tree and break your neck, it's okay, but for a girl, no, you have to, you know, play with Barbies. And it comes down to even, you know, your upbringing, to university, to everything. And it's also what they tell us to aspire to. You know, with men, they tell them, oh, aspire to an amazing career, you know, build that billion-dollar company, climb the tree. And with us, it's, you know, have a good job. And
those are quite interesting points, given the upbringing and the culture. That again, we go back to the point where it's very diverse, it's very different, and that also always gives a very it's an element that affects that. But going back to your point, given that with Google being a huge female empowerment, a woman empowerment, let's say, entity. We have tech makers with ambassadors all around the MENA region, trying to get those entrepreneurs and females to, as Yamama said, get into this sector where they're not seen as much there. And I also would like to say that we're proud to have with you females and you ladies, over 41% of females within our cohort, especially from class 2 of Google for Startups MENA. And those are things that we look forward to keep having those numbers and greater numbers to give women more opportunities to do so. That brings me to another point there, is that what do you see is the biggest challenge for the next generation to be part of this ecosystem, or be part of this sector, the next generation of women entrepreneurs, and how can we as current female entrepreneurs be a role model for them? Hala, would you or May, for example? May, would you like to say something there, given that you're two females
Yes,
within this?
I think it is a quality of education. We need to raise the quality of education. We need to learn them, how to encourage them to be more involved in learning tools and get knowledge from everywhere. So I think it is all about education. Yes.
Yeah, education plays a very, very huge part in
Yes.
the upbringing and the let's say the future of our female women entrepreneurs. Aida, is there anything there that you feel that you might add within us being the role model? Let's say Aida is the role model for them. How do you feel like you would be the best role model for these upcoming women?
I think that it's something I think about a lot actually, because empowerment is very important, and with any battle that you're taking, or like like the dream for me would be to have women founders, but just founders. Like who cares if it's a woman or a man? They're founders, and that's it. And it took me quite a lot of time to understand that there needed to be a difference, because women needed to be more highlighted, because it's actually one of the best way to encourage more women to do the same thing. It's to inspire. It's to make, because if it makes the dream possible, and when the dream becomes a bit more possible, like like being like the first in something is always a bit scarier than being the 10th or the 11th or the 13th one. And excellence and actually creating an ecosystem starts with one, but we need like so many more to create it. And to me, that's how, like, it has to do with the numbers. Like, let's be 1,000, let's be 1 million, let's be 3 million. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a failure. If the quality of the startup, to me, for now, is important for us, but it doesn't matter to the ecosystem, in the sense that all we need is a movement. We need founders, we need tech founders, we need creative founder. We need to stop, also something very, very important, to stop saying like, no, but like, if you don't do tech in your startup, like, you're not really like a real founder. And this also can, like, like, we have so many creative women founders, and they tend sometimes to feel less of than like more tech founders. And this is also something, that we should fight for. So have more education, I think, is also super important. Like, education for startups, I think, as early as possible, having workshops, like building companies in school just for the fun of it, like, like making everyone understand that it's absolutely normal to create something. It's not spectacular. It's like, you find a need, you make it happen. It can start by selling something that you find is not available, to creating, I don't know, a unicorn. Like, it doesn't it anyone can be a founder, women can be a founder. And I mean, like, there's so many women right now that like feel that like maybe they have ideas and they don't know how to implement it. And I think that's why the ecosystem needs to be there, because they need to know that they can talk with people, and that they can be we need to learn to ask more for help also, maybe. And that's one of the reasons why the ecosystem needs to happen, because there needs to be a bit of a support. I think there is already, but I think that there's still a ceiling, and that we need to break it.
Yeah, that's great. I actually agree with the point where we really do need to build that culture of getting them into comfort, or let's say a safe space to go beyond their comfort zones, pushing them beyond these the norm that we usually see is that this is the way that things have to be and this is how you do it, but giving them a space where they can explore these new let's say aspects of looking at different things, even pointing out things, having a voice to start speaking about them loudly. Given that and saying those points, Yamama, is there anything that you feel might be let's say an addition to how culture can be part of building that safe space to have these entrepreneurs or females to look at this sector as a career that they would be pursuing? or become even women entrepreneurs. Yeah, Mama?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I also like to add to Aida's point that what we can do as females and entrepreneurs, like we need to stand up and just showcase our to those ladies, and we need to tell them that we are there for them as mentors. So I do encourage all females that are in already, they have their own startups. Maybe they can always jump into like in networking sessions, free their time. Like I know that we are all busy with our startups, but we do have a commitment towards those to the upcoming generation, giving them our experience, helping them as mentors. Plus that I believe that we as women can have also in our internal system, like to build a safe and caring and environment. So also women should make sure that their internal policies support women. And it's one of the points that Hala pointed out, that it's not only about gender, it's about culture, it's about diversity, it's about how we are raised. So one of the main challenges, that's why females don't enter this ecosystem early, and we as co-founders now should work on it, is that the flexibility of working. You know, now almost all the private sector, they are not, like, the internal system is not flexible. So women in their nature, we do have kids, we do have families, we do have different responsibilities, and those responsibilities shouldn't be a challenge. You know, they shouldn't I feel like sometimes it's just a backfire. Like, yeah, she's a mother, yeah, she's a working mom. No, this should be as an advantage and not disadvantage. So one of the things that we should work on internally is to make sure that our internal system and like the HR person works to more flexible and free environment where justice is there. You know, it's not about gender, but it's about like having the equality there in our systems, and to make sure that we come from different backgrounds and different responsibilities. And the culture is something like one of the main challenges, because we, as we said, we come from different culture, and we raised differently. And one of the things that women face, that how are they going to quit their full-time job with their insurance and social security and open their own startup. This is one of the things that I even experienced. But because I have a caring and supportive family, I was able to do that step. But other women cannot do that, because they cannot do that financially, and they cannot do that from a culture wise. So culture and how we raised, I'm not saying that all females should quit their jobs and go directly open their business. No, they should go into the workforce. They should learn lessons. They should experience different leadership styles, so they can open their own startup with the latest management styles and leadership, and they will be able to lead teams, big teams. But what I say, that families have an impact, and they should have a role. You know, the families should support their daughters, or your wife, your daughter, your sister, you know, a female, because when we see that we don't have support, we just don't even think about it. You know, we just say, no one will support me, so I will not take that risk. But if we see that we are raised equally, like, yeah, as Hala said, you both go climb the tree and see what will happen to you. If you both fail, then okay. So yeah, I think culture makes a lot of difference there.
Yeah, a great point. Gender equality always comes up when it comes to bringing that culture and women empowerment, and how women would like to see that they were given a space to be able to do it. And I agree, culture is something that takes up a huge part in that. If we were able to, let's say, be the role models in a way where we're able to show that to them, that there is some support coming in, there are families that are doing that, then we will be able to, I won't say break the cycle, but we will be able to help others look into these areas and have some comfort, or let's say some even motivation to think about it. And yeah, I think those points, Amma, you've raised were quite really interesting there. Thank you. May, is there anything else you'd like to add there?
Yes, I agree with Yama that the way we raise the daughters is, and with Hala too, the way we raise daughters is totally different that we raise sons, and this has an impact on how they will take initiatives or start a business. After that, for me, for example, I'm a single mother. I have all duties about getting my daughter to get up early, go to school, and then I go to work and I get hair. We go to training, sports, piano lessons, and we study, and also I run my business. It is a crowded day or duties. If we don't have support from our families, even if it is emotional support, we will not be able to continue like this. I think it is also a social responsibility that we need to give a single mother, or even in any mother, more flexible work hours, more flexible way of getting things done, and not to judge that. I used to work in a governmental entity, and one of my colleagues refused. He continued to refuse hiring females. Just she will be a burden. She will ask for getting home early, and I think we need to prevent this by law and encourage every decision maker to make this easier for women.
Yeah, we would all love to see more, let's say, support from decision makers as well when it comes to that. But if I go back to the point where we're looking at entrepreneurship, having that different cultures, different, let's say, backgrounds and upbringing, Hala, what do you see were the advantages of us female entrepreneurs within the Middle East and North Africa, given that we know about all of these boundaries, or let's say some boundaries that we've seen in the region? How do you see the female entrepreneurs growing there? What do you feel from my perspective, I see that they can have, they show more stamina when it comes to dealing with all of this, and still be able to grow as people and grow as companies. And you can see them even in companies where they become unicorns, which is aspiring to see, and let's say inspiring to even hear about. What do you feel like, Hala, when it comes to that? How do you feel that has given any advantages for our female entrepreneurs?
First of all, if I may, before getting into that, I want to say May is honestly a great example of someone who has so many responsibilities and juggles everything so well. 100% dedication, 100% dedication to work, a passion that is really, you can see it in everything that she does. And I just want to just say that, because it can be, sometimes you think, oh, this person might have a lot on their plate, but you need to think, we need to be thinking in another way, and say, you know what, maybe this man, the person that wasn't going to hire females, maybe he can't do both, but other people can, and can do it actually 10 times better than he could have. I think
you, May, I was just going to say, we salute you, May, for having all of that on your plate and still being able to move forward. That's great.
Okay, so I'm going to say something maybe a bit pessimistic, but I'm going to say that women that enter that, so as you know, the years go by, the boundaries will be lessened. But the women that end up making it have actually, so let's say, for example, you know, a female creates $1 billion company and a male creates $1 billion company. These are not the same things. These are not the same things. They have not had the same experiences, and she has probably had to put in a lot more work to achieve that. Now, in terms of what's going to happen in the future, hopefully the boundaries will lessen. You know, we're going to hopefully, you know, inspire more people to as in us as a generation, inspire more people, you know, do two things simultaneously, giving them the space to really share, you know, all the burdens that and all the care and you know, the family situation, everything, you know, giving them the space to exist, but also, you know, inspiring them and telling them, you know what, all of these burdens are completely irrelevant. There's opportunity. Don't, you know, we're entrepreneurs. We don't think of burdens when we see opportunity. That's the thing, you know, you see so many glitches and problems that are twitched together, and you see that light, and it's that light that creates an entrepreneur. It's that light that, you know, you can't not have it just because you're born a female. It's not possible. Yeah.
Thank you, Hala. That's actually, those are great points there that you added. And I see Yamama is agreeing as well. Great. Aida, is there anything else you wanted to add to that before we end our discussion? Because I feel like you have a point there with starting the discussion on equality, and let's say giving those next generation an opportunity to go beyond their boundaries and the limits that they usually see. Anything you want to add there?
No, I think like to Hala, Yamama, May's point, like it's all about setting a precedent and making sure that like we are not equal, we're equitable in terms of, because there's a difference between equality and having the same chances at the beginning. And I think equality is not always equal because, I mean, so many biological reasons, so many other reasons that doesn't make us equal, but we can have an ecosystem that is equitable and that allows us to all at least start at the same starting point. And I think that's the most important thing.
Interesting. Great point there, Aida. And I would like to conclude this discussion with all of your great points. I see that with you all pursuing what you're pursuing, your startups, and going forward with that, that's going to give that inspiration that we're talking about for next generation. And we do hope to see more entrepreneurs and in the Middle East and North Africa being in the tech side, getting into the tech industry and growing and aspiring and moving on to great points as well. Yeah, if there, let's check if we have any questions, but if we don't, then we can look at concluding the session. I had a lot of fun with you all. Thank you all for being on this call and sharing your views. I'm sure that a lot of people will be able to find interesting points from what you said and learn from them. I hope other entrepreneurs as well can aspire to look at giving more motivation to different people and have more people more entrepreneurs and females to grow from that. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for listening. Have a great night.